They hate you, they distrust you, they will stab you in your back. Have you ever noticed that the nicest people often get treated the worst? That's because kindness without boundaries looks like weakness. Say yes too often, and people start expecting it. Give too much, and they stop valuing it. The world doesn't respect those who are always available. It respects those who know their worth. All Stoics understood this truth. Respect isn't given, it's commanded. And in this video we dive deep into the psychology of kindness, why excessive generosity leads to disrespect, and how Stoic wisdom can help you balance kindness with strength. Watch till the end to learn how to command respect without losing your good heart. Let's get into it. Number 1, the psychology of overgiving. People look up to those who have earned their respect. In the event that you give excessively without anticipating receiving anything in return, you are conveying an unconscious message that your time and work are not valuable. It was originally written by Marcus Aurelius in his book, Meditations, that a man's worth is no greater than his ambitions in terms of our interactions with other people. This is a statement that is not just straightforward, but also immensely significant. If you do not have any goals or limits in place regarding your time and energy, how can you possibly expect other people to recognize the worth that you possess? Within this context, generosity has the potential to rapidly morph into an expectation, and once compassion is anticipated, respect begins to wane. The issue with excessive generosity is not simply that individuals lose the ability to appreciate it. Rather, it is that they begin to take it for granted. By doing so, consider the possibility that you are the person who is always willing to assist. Give an ear or go out of your way to make the life of another person simpler. First, people show their appreciation by expressing gratitude and thanking you. They may even express thankfulness. On the other hand, as time passes, they begin to believe that you will always be present. The efforts that you put out are no longer seen as a favor by them. Rather, they are seen as something that you merely carry out because they are merely anticipating that you would express gratitude to them. They do not feel the need to do so as regularly. The difficulty is that what was previously considered to be a given is no longer respected. This is where the problem begins. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, would remind us that self-respect is the root of all respect that is shown to others. When you fail to establish boundaries and do not place value on your own time and energy, it is inevitable that others will do the same. Your time and effort will be taken for granted, and they will take more than they should, leaving you feeling exhausted and unappreciated. They will assume that your time and effort are inexpensive according to what he previously wrote. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If you are feeling unappreciated or overworked, and your thoughts are filled with resentment because of it, it is not the fault of the people around you. Rather, it is the result of your own failure to set boundaries. The truth is that people test the limits of what they are capable of taking without ever realizing it. They are going to continue to take from you if you never say no, and if you constantly give in addition. Every time you do not decline an offer, you are reinforcing the notion that your time, energy, and kindness are boundless supplies. If you want to say no, but are afraid of being rejected or failing other people, you could experience feelings of guilt. On the other hand, if you consistently contribute without taking into account your own requirements, it conveys the message that you do not respect yourself sufficiently to set strict boundaries for yourself. Because of this, boundaries are quite important. Everyone else will not value your time if you do not value it yourself. You are able to encourage others to do the same. By establishing distinct limits and showing respect for your own requirements, it may be unsettling at first, particularly if you are accustomed to giving more than you are expected to. but it is an essential step in making sure that your generosity is acknowledged and appreciated. You do not have to agree to every request that is made of you. Even more crucial, you shouldn't feel guilty about declining an offer when you say no to it. The Stoic philosophy tells us that virtue is not derived from continuously trying to please other people, but rather from living in accordance with reason. Marcus Aurelius had a deep comprehension of this, as opposed to wasting time trying to get the approval of other people. He concentrated on upholding his own dignity and behaving in a manner that was congruent with his principles according to what he wrote. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others unless it is for some mutual benefit. Giving without expecting anything in return is a waste of both your time and energy. If it does not benefit you, you should not feel obligated to please or obtain acceptance in order to be kind. Rather, your kindness should originate from a place of strength and wisdom. The question now is, how can you stop giving too much and start earning the respect that you are due? The first step is to acknowledge that acts of kindness should be deliberate and selective rather than automatic. This does not mean that you are required to be accessible to everyone, nor does it mean that you owe everyone your time and effort. If you want to help, rather than because you feel you have to, you should do it. Make it a habit to say no without feeling guilty and see how other people react when you do so. In the event that they respect you, they will comprehend should they fail to do so. It is possible that they have never fully appreciated you in the first place. Marcus Aurelius provided the following piece of advice. Do not waste any more time arguing about what a good man ought to be. Become one. Put your ideals into action. Establish your limits and refrain from giving too much to the point that you neglect yourself. From the moment you begin to respect yourself, others will begin to do the same in the end. It is not simply acts of kindness that garner respect. Rather, it is the wisdom to know when to give and when to safeguard your own well-being. That is the most important factor. Number 2, the nice guy syndrome. It has come to your attention that the nicest persons are frequently the ones that receive the harshest treatment. This is due to the fact that excessive niceness is frequently interpreted as submission rather than strength. You run the risk of being viewed as someone who lacks a backbone if you consistently submit to the will of others, aiming to please people and avoiding disagreement at all costs. It is possible that this will result in a vicious cycle in which the more you make an effort to be polite, the more you will be took advantage of. There is a possibility that individuals will start to view you as someone they can manipulate, and rather than gaining their respect, you will simply wind up receiving their scorn throughout his letters. Seneca, the renowned Stoic philosopher, issued a warning about this matter. It was him who said, "A gift that costs nothing to the giver is worthless to the receiver." If I may put it another way, when you give too freely, when your generosity comes without any actual work or sacrifice, it loses its significance. People will begin to believe that you lack the strength to stand up for yourself if you are always pleasant, if you never confront other people, and if you always say yes to everything. And in a culture where self-assurance is revered, weakness is not cherished. Rather, it is exploited rather than admired. Take a moment to reflect on the following. Have you ever seen someone who is always the nice guy or nice girl, but they are frequently disregarded, belittled, or taken for granted? This occurs due to the fact that their generosity is not regarded as a virtue. Rather, it is regarded as a lack of personal limits when individuals consistently give without expecting anything in return. These individuals lose the ability to appreciate the worth in what they are providing to others. In point of fact, the more you try to go above and beyond for other people, the less they will consider you to be on an equal footing. Although they may acknowledge and appreciate your generosity, they do not respect you the way they see you. You are someone they can manipulate without fear of repercussions. In addition, Seneca emphasizes the significance of having respect for oneself. You are not showing respect for yourself if you are overly focused on pleasing other people and never make an effort to assert yourself for yourself. Instead, you are surrendering to the will of other people, and submission does not command respect. Rather, it invites abuse if it is not handled properly. When someone is too pleasant, always willing to accommodate others, and never stands their position, others do not consider them to be someone with authority. Rather, they consider them to be someone they can exert power over without question. When viewed from this perspective, being excessively kind can truly be a negative. It is possible that people will perceive you as agreeable, but they will not perceive you as powerful, capable, or self-assured, to put it another way. They might even consider you to be needy for acceptance. And the more you seek acceptance, the more people perceive you as someone who lacks the strength of conviction. And when you lack conviction, it is impossible to acquire genuine respect. In Seneca's teachings, we learn that true strength is not derived from submission, but rather from self-mastery. It is not that we have a short time to live, rather it is that we waste a lot of it. What he stated was the point. If you spend your entire life trying to please other people, by being overly pleasant to them, you are squandering both your time and your energy. You are not living in accordance with your ideals or values. Rather, you are only attempting to avoid controversy at the risk of your own integrity. People who lack the strength to stand firm in their ideas and actions are not respected, and this ultimately robs you of respect, because respect is not given to people who lack the strength to do so. It's possible that you are asking yourself, but isn't kindness a virtue in a word? Yes, Stoicism does not teach us to be impolite or unkind. Rather, it teaches us that friendliness ought to be founded on strength and not on the need to fulfill the expectations of other people. Seneca was a man of incredible kindness, but he was also a man of unwavering values. He was a man of unparalleled integrity. He did not allow other people to walk all over him, and he did not compromise his integrity in order to get the acceptance of other people at any cost. Just because you are really kind does not mean that you must constantly say yes, or that you must always put yourself second. In other words, it is making the decision to behave with integrity, intelligence, and courage. Even when doing so is uncomfortable, it is imperative that you refrain from using your gestures of generosity as a means to gain acceptance. If you wish to acquire genuine respect, you should instead make use of it as a tool to make other people feel better about themselves without sacrificing your own sense of self-respect. It is important to keep in mind that the people who are most respected are not the ones who are always trying to get approval by being overly pleasant. Those individuals are the ones who are aware of their own value, who are unwavering in their convictions, and who extend their generosity from a position of power rather than out of submission. In the future, when you find yourself inclined to be extremely accommodating or excessively polite, you should ask yourself the following question: am I doing this because I genuinely want to assist others? Or am I doing this to escape discomfort or to seek approval? When kindness is accompanied by self-respect and strength, only then will it be considered truly valuable behavior. Number 3, people will test your boundaries and most will fail. The test. People will begin to test you as soon as they understand that you do not show resistance. Gradually, one would say, your boss asks you to stay late despite the fact that he's already aware of the amount of work you have to do. One of your friends is constantly canceling arrangements at the last minute, assuring themselves that you will always respond with no problem. The request for another favor is made by a member of the family, despite the fact that they have never reciprocated the favor or demonstrated any genuine appreciation initially. These requests appear to be quite insignificant. They don't appear to be a major concern at all. It's possible that you believe that offering assistance or responding with a yes can't possibly be harmful. When you give in to these requests without establishing clear limits, you are inadvertently conveying to other people that your time, your requirements, and your energy are not significant. This is the problem. You are conveying the idea that you are willing to offer at any time, that you are always available, and that your own limits are open to negotiation. It is a fact, however, that when you do not put up a fight, people begin to anticipate that you will. The issue starts with that expectation, which is where the difficulty lies. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, made the following astute observation: if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus was bringing out a fundamental truth about boundaries, which may sound harsh at first, but let me explain. When you begin to assert your boundaries, people will condemn you. It is possible that they will label you as unreasonable or selfish. It is even possible that they will remark that you are being tough or demanding, or that you are behaving in a manner that is not consistent with who you are. Establishing limits will feel like a significant change to you if you have spent years being the easygoing person who always says yes. Moreover, those individuals who have relied on your compliance will become aware of this change and will most likely rebel against it. On the other hand, the most important thing to realize is that this judgment is not your burden. When you start to establish limits, you will in fact lose people, and this is something that you should be happy about. Why is it a positive thing to do? Mostly due to the fact that those individuals did not actually value you, but rather how much they could get out of you. Someone is not showing you respect if they only remain in your presence because they are aware that they can take advantage of your time, your efforts, and your generosity without ever asking for anything in return. Both knowingly and unconsciously, they were taking advantage of you. You can think of these individuals as those who are not concerned with your requirements. They view you as an unending resource that can be utilized for their own benefit. In addition, when you establish limits, the authentic sentiments that they have for you are brought to the surface. It is possible to design a sorting process by establishing boundaries. Your boundaries are about preserving balance and respecting yourself and others that appreciate you will realize that the fact that you have chosen to conserve your time and energy will be greatly appreciated by them. Self-respect is not the same thing as selfishness, and those who truly care about you will realize this distinction. Not only will they acknowledge that you are still capable of being loving, kind, and generous, but they will do it only when it does not compromise your sense of self-worth. Having said that, the moment you start imposing these boundaries, you will notice that some individuals will attempt to test you. They will make an effort to test the limits of those limitations in order to determine how much they can get away with. If you have already declined a favor from a friend, it is possible that they are asking for one more favor from you. When you have already worked late for the past 2 evenings, it is possible that your manager is asking you to remain an additional hour from your regular schedule. There is a possibility that they will attempt to intimidate you by accusing you of being difficult, ungrateful, or even selfish. Nevertheless, this is not your test. It is theirs. In order to determine how seriously you take the matter of safeguarding your boundaries, they are conducting a test. They want to see whether they can wear you down once more and convince you to go back to your previous ways of complying with laws and regulations. On the other hand, here's the thing: now is the time for you to establish authority. You are exhibiting something that is of the utmost significance: self-respect. When you do not give in by demonstrating that you value your time, that you have limitations, and that you are willing to stand by them, even if it is uncomfortable. You are demonstrating that you are willing to stand by them. This might not be to everyone's liking. Indeed, it is possible that they will become agitated in spite of this. The fact that you have chosen to safeguard your health is not an indication that you do not care about them. Rather, it is a manifestation of your dedication within yourself. It is precisely in this context that the splendor of Stoicism emerges. This is something that Epictetus taught, and it is not the opinions of other people that define you. If you are criticized by others for establishing limits, then you should let them. Instead of being your problem, it is theirs. Respected individuals will be able to adjust to your boundaries and comprehend the rationale behind their existence. It will not be regarded as a weakness by them, but rather as a sign of your power. They are going to value you more as a result of it. On the other hand, those individuals who are unable to acknowledge your limits, who work to undermine them, and who want to exert guilt on you will eventually reveal their actual nature. It is possible that you will experience a sting of disappointment or loss as a result of their departure. Nevertheless, allow me to inform you that this is a gift. You are deliberately building space for people who will appreciate and respect you, people who will not take you for granted. When you begin to set boundaries to regulate your behavior, the procedure is one that helps you remove the people who are simply in your life for their own profit. Without contributing anything in return, it is a cleansing process. You will no longer be someone's doormat after you break the habit of saying yes to everyone. At this point, you cease to be someone who exists for the purpose of earning the approval of others. When you do this, you start to attract people who respect you for who you are and who recognize the importance of the time, energy, and effort that you put out. You are no longer merely a resource. Rather, you are a genuine individual who possesses your own requirements, aspirations, and demands. It is important to remember that you should not become disheartened if you encounter opposition or if individuals are resisting the boundaries that you are establishing. Remain steadfast. If you have to decline, don't feel bad about it. Compliance is not the foundation upon which true respect is formed. Rather, it is based upon the establishment of clear boundaries, mutual respect, and the capacity to prioritize oneself without feeling guilty. Furthermore, those individuals who truly respect you will eventually comprehend and adjust to your situation. Those individuals who do not, as a result of their departure space, will be made available for others who will respect you and the boundaries you set for yourself instead. Number 4, the social hierarchy problem. There is a hierarchy of dominance that exists inside human interactions, regardless of whether we like it or not. Not only do people instinctively classify other people according to their physical power, but they also classify them according to their mental and emotional strength. People who exude confidence, resilience, and authority are frequently the ones that we find ourselves drawn to at times. The use of force is not always the deciding factor. Rather, it is the individuals who command respect and those who freely grant it. Additionally, in this hierarchy, you will find yourself at the bottom of the hierarchy if you are extremely accommodating and consistently give in to the requirements of others without establishing your own needs. How come? Because you send the message that you are intellectually or emotionally weak when you allow other people to walk all over you. When you never push yourself or stand up for yourself, you are sending the message that you are weak. In essence, you are expressing the sentiment that I do not matter as much as you do. Furthermore, in a society in which respect is frequently acquired through one's strength, weakness is not admired, rather, it is exploited. No, this is not merely a theory. It is the nature of humans. We live in a society where strength, both mental and emotional strength, is frequently the genuine measure of respect. Despite the fact that we might like to believe that people reward kindness alone, this does not imply that you have to be confrontational or violent. However, it does mean that you have to demonstrate that you are not easily swayed, and that you value yourself enough to establish limits when you give too much. When you let other people determine how you spend your time and energy, you put yourself in a situation where you are susceptible to being directed by others. Even if they are nice, people who are easily manipulated are rarely recognized in the social order. This is true regardless of how polite they are. The reality of how human relationships frequently operate is that this may be a difficult thing to accept, but it is the truth nonetheless. Now let's take a look at the other side of the coin. When you refuse to be walked over or used by others on a regular basis, when you stand your ground, people begin to treat you differently. Suddenly, the value of your time increases. The respect that is accorded to your energy increases, and the weight that your opinions carry increases, because you are someone who is aware of their value and is not afraid to demonstrate it. People take notice of the fact that you are a formidable opponent. It is possible that you will lose a few individuals along the way, specifically those who took advantage of your earlier obedience. Yet you will earn the respect of those who place a high value on strength, persistence, and limits. Seneca, another famous Stoic philosopher with a profound comprehension of human nature with regard to the barriers that exist between people. It was him who said a man is not good because of the way he's treated, but because of the way he treats others. Not only does Seneca emphasize the significance of how you treat other people, but she also emphasizes the significance of how you allow other people to treat each other. You are able to exert influence over how other people view you when you maintain your position and do not allow others to walk all over you. At this point, people no longer consider you to be someone who is submissive or passive. You are someone who deserves to be respected. You are someone whose thoughts can be taken seriously, whose limits cannot be negotiated, and whose time is valuable. This change in how people view you has the potential to have a significant impact on the relationships you have. People start to understand that your charity is not a sign of weakness, rather, it is a decision that you make. They are aware that respect is something that must be earned and may not be given freely without regard. Additionally, this change in dynamic results in a partnership that is both healthier and more balanced. It's possible that people will treat you with more care, more concern, and more respect. Since they are aware that they can't take you for granted, it is not necessary for you to become aggressive or dominant as a result of this. Instead, it indicates that you need to demonstrate firmness in your interactions, demonstrating that you will not tolerate being treated like a doormat as a result of your capacity to be nice, but also keeping firm boundaries. People will respect you. This is the true definition of strength. When you refuse to let other people take advantage of your generosity, you start to earn respect from others around you. Additionally, despite the fact that the voyage may at times be unsettling, it is essential for your own personal development. You will notice that your position in the social ladder begins to shift once you begin to stand your ground, and at that point, people will begin to treat you with the respect that you deserve. Your integrity, your limits, and your strength will be appreciated by the people who genuinely matter to you in the long term. What about others who do not? You will be better off without them, since they will eventually disclose themselves to you. Number 5. The trap of people-pleasing. To try to win over people is a futile endeavor. Your efforts to make other people happy will result in a decrease in their respect for you. It is possible that at first you will feel as though you are on the right path. Not only do you want to be liked by others, but you also want to be helpful, and you want to be perceived as being kind and accommodating. On the other hand, what happens is that the more you give of yourself without taking into account your own requirements, the more you train other people to believe that your needs are irrelevant through your actions. You demonstrate to them that the comfort and approval of others takes precedence over your time, your energy, and your well-being. What is the end result? You are beginning to lose people's respect. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, explained it in a straightforward manner. No man is free who is not master of himself when it comes to taking charge of your life. This remark perfectly captures the spirit of what it takes to do so when you are constantly concerned about how other people perceive you. When you are living your life to please other people, rather than living your life in accordance with your own ideas and principles, you are not actually free. You are a prisoner to their approval, and you are always modifying yourself to conform to what you believe they want from you. You end up being subject to their whims, their expectations, and their evaluations of you by that point. The reality is that trying to please other people is a type of self-sabotage. By making other people happy, you may give the impression that you are doing something positive. Nevertheless, in truth, you are diminishing your own sense of self-worth inside the process. Every time you give in without establishing a boundary, every time you sacrifice your own desires in order to satisfy the desires of another else, you are trying to convince yourself that you are not important. The lesson you are teaching yourself is that your emotions, your requirements, and your objectives are of less significance than those of another person. When you play this game more, you will end up losing more money. It could appear to be a method of gaining the favor of others in the short term, but over the course of time, people will start to anticipate that you will do it. As time goes on, they begin to view you more as a source of continuous validation than as someone who is deserving of mutual respect. As time goes on, they will eventually stop appreciating your generosity. Since it will become a given, there is a toxic dynamic here. Your authenticity and your capacity to truly connect with other people are both diminished as a result of you engaging in this behavior. Your own voice, your own desires, and your own identity will become increasingly distant from you. The more you strive to satisfy the needs and desires of everyone else, instead of becoming who you genuinely are, you start becoming what other people want you to be more and more. The unpleasant truth is that trying to please everyone is not a sustainable strategy. Initially, it might be effective, but in the long run, you will become exhausted by it. You are going to develop feelings of resentment. You will also get the impression that you have lost yourself. You will come to the realization that the work you have put into making other people happy has come at the expense of your own happiness, your own peace of mind, and your own sense of self-worth. Again, Epictetus provides some sound advice in this regard. He informs us that the key to freedom is to have complete control over oneself when you are unable to say no. When you are unable to put yourself first, when it is required, and when you are unable to create boundaries, you are not living a free life. You are continuously molding yourself to conform to the expectations of other people, and you are living your life in response to the requirements of other people. And what do you think? Some individuals will push back against you when you begin to put your own requirements first, when you start refusing to be taken for granted, when you start using the word no, and when you start demanding respect. They will push back against you because they preferred the version of you that was easy to influence. They will be upset with you. The version of you that was docile, people-pleasing, and could be relied upon without question for validation, support, and acceptance was something that they appreciated. On the other hand, this is a sacrifice that is required for your own personal development. The liberating thing is that when you stop trying to please everyone, better individuals will come into your life rather than the other way around. Those who value you not for how far you can go out of your way to fulfill their requirements, but rather for who you are in your truest form. Those individuals who will admire you for your resilience, your genuineness, and your capacity to keep your own personality intact. It is not about being self-centered to establish limits. Rather, it is about showing respect for oneself. The protection of your tranquility, as well as your mental and emotional health, is the focus here. Additionally, despite the fact that some individuals may be resistant or leave, you will discover that the appropriate individuals, those who are actually deserving of your attention, will remain. They are going to respect you more as a result of the strength that you demonstrate in your decisions. Therefore, if you have been caught in the loop of trying to please other people, it is time to break out of that circle. Get started making yourself a priority. Your time and energy will be better protected if you begin to establish boundaries. Say no when it is necessary to do so. Let go of the folks who do not respect the boundaries you have set for yourself. Because when you do that, you will find that the people who actually matter to you will respect you even more, and you will discover a new kind of freedom. Freedom that comes from having mastery over yourself. Number 6. Why no is more powerful than yes because they are concerned about losing relationships. The majority of people are reluctant to say no. They have the misconception that if they decline invitations or requests, they will be damaging their ties or appearing self-centered. Nevertheless, here is the truth. A feeble yes only serves to make you forgettable. A resolute no will earn you respect from others. You are, in essence, acting as if you are saying no to yourself whenever you give your consent to anything that you do not genuinely desire to accomplish. For the sake of pleasing other people or avoiding disagreement, you are giving up your time, your peace of mind, and your fundamental requirements. One of the issues is that when you consistently respond with a yes, you become predictable. People will begin to anticipate it from you, and before long, your affirmative response will be useless. It is no longer a particular thing. Simply put, it is what people anticipate. You will say, with each deal that you are compelled to make, you are losing your control. According to Marcus Aurelius, who is considered to be one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. This insightful statement emphasizes that the first step toward genuine life is having the guts to prioritize the things that are most important to you, such as your time, your tranquility, and your sense of who you are. In order to genuinely live, one must have the ability to establish limits and to refuse when it is required. When you say no, you are not being impolite or dismissive. Rather, you are showing that you value your own life and acknowledge that your requirements are important. It is an act of self-respect to decline an offer. In other words, it is a declaration that your time, your energy, and the commitments you have made are valuable. The act of declining something that does not correspond with your objectives or principles enables you to make place for the things that are actually important to you. Your self-worth is validated to the fullest extent possible by this. Although it is tempting to believe that saying yes all the time will make people like you more, it is also tempting to believe that it will somehow establish stronger ties. However, here is the reality. If you accept everything that comes your way, you will diminish your value. You turn into a people pleaser, which is a person who exists solely for the purpose of serving other people at the expense of their own happiness. Over time, this will result in feelings of resentment. As time goes on, you could start to feel as though you are being exploited, ignored, or even used. It is not that others will view you as someone who has valuable time. Rather, they will view you as someone who will always say yes regardless of the circumstances. At this point, the level of respect begins to decrease. The strength of a firm refusal is something to consider now. An unmistakable message is conveyed when you decline an offer, particularly when it is in accordance with your principles and objectives. You value yourself. Your time is valuable to you. Your vitality is important to you. Additionally, you are not frightened to make choices that will safeguard those specific things. It demonstrates strength, confidence, and self-awareness to say no in a clear and forceful manner. Individuals start to respect you more as a result of the fact that they realize you have boundaries, which is a quality that distinguishes you as someone who should not be taken for granted according to an old proverb. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. This is a very pertinent statement. This, in turn, is directly relevant to the idea of declining an offer. If you do not maintain a firm stance on your beliefs and your boundaries, you will find yourself agreeing to things that deplete you, cause you to get exhausted, and divert your attention away from what is fundamentally significant. In addition, when you live in such a manner, you are not actually living. You are simply existing for the purpose of pleasing other people, and as a result, you are forfeiting the opportunity to put your own happiness first. You will begin to attract people who respect you. When you learn to say no, this is not because you always agree with them. Rather, it is because you are aware of who you are and what you believe in. By establishing limits, you ensure that the people who enter your life are those who appreciate you for the appropriate reasons. Strong people respect boundaries, and by setting them, you establish them. Therefore, I would like to ask you this question. How many times have you agreed to do something that you did not want to do in order to prevent disappointing someone else? How many times have you put the interest of maintaining peace ahead of your personal well-being in order to achieve that goal? Now is the moment to make that adjustment. Keep in mind that saying no does not mean that you are rejecting other people. It is a statement of confidence in yourself. However, the next time someone asks you to do anything that is not in line with your beliefs, you should not hesitate to comply with their request. Refuse to accept. In addition, by doing so, you will begin to live a life that is wholly and completely your own. Number 7. Kindness without confidence is weakness. A significant number of individuals are of the opinion that merely demonstrating kindness is sufficient to get respect and establish robust and wholesome relationships. The concept that kindness is one of the highest virtues is something that we are taught. The unpleasant reality, however, is that one act of kindness is not sufficient on its own. In his own words, Seneca stated, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Time is a valuable resource, and this profound sentence serves as a reminder of that fact. There is not a shortage of time in the world. Rather, it is that we frequently squander it on things and people that do not provide anything of value to our lives. Spending your time being kind without also having the self-assurance to safeguard your energy and be steadfast in your own views is in effect a waste of your time. At the same time, however, when kindness is not accompanied with confidence, it can be used as a tool for exploitative purposes. People start to take your generosity for granted. When you lack the strength to establish limits or say what you require of them, you wind up becoming the person who is always available, always agreeable, and always wanting to assist others in spite of the fact that this comes at the expense of your own health and happiness. Although you are utilized, you are not fully respected. When you lack self-assurance, your kindness tends to become predictable. Think about it. At this point, it is no longer something exceptional. It's unquestionably a given. People no longer consider the acts of compassion you perform to be admirable. Rather, they start to anticipate them. Kindness that is not accompanied by confidence loses its potency. Since acts of kindness are no longer a choice, but rather a duty, The weight that kindness previously carried is diminished when it is viewed as a duty rather than a voluntary act. The fact that others are aware that you will always say yes, always help, and always provide makes them feel as though they do not need to express their gratitude. People respect strength, not obedience, and this is the underlying problem with this situation. In addition, when you are lacking in self-assurance, people will see your generosity as a sign of weakness, which indicates a lack of conviction in your own value. This dynamic results in a cycle that is extremely hazardous. It is possible that you are always willing to contribute to other people, but when you require anything in return, you discover that people are not willing to lend a helping hand. How come? Because they have been conditioned to view you as someone who is always giving and never demanding anything from you because of you. They now understand that your requirements are irrelevant when it comes to respect. Confidence is significantly more important than compassion. Attention is drawn to the individual who is both kind and firm, who is able to say no, and who is aware of when it is appropriate to stand their position. A lot of people are interested in that. When someone says, "I care, but I also care about myself," they are respected by others. This is the person who is able to establish themselves while still demonstrating compassion. The individual who possesses the power is that person. Relationships that are mutually beneficial and healthy can be developed by a person who possesses both power and kindness. From the other side of the coin, the person who is simply kind, who is always trying to please other people, and who is always putting the wants of others ahead of their own, eventually disappears away. As a result, they are ignored. How come? They have conditioned others to view them as a source of unending validation, and they have never demanded anything in exchange for their efforts. Over time, this will have a negative impact on your sense of self-worth. The value of your time, energy, and efforts is no longer recognized by other people. They begin to anticipate your generosity over time. This results in a decline in respect, which in turn leads to the accumulation of resentment. It is essential to have the understanding that compassion without confidence is not a great virtue. Rather, it is a formula for exhaustion rather than kindness. Kindness becomes more of a chore than a choice when there is a lack of self-assurance. It is not because you want to give that you give, rather you give because you feel compelled to. Furthermore, when you do something because you are required to, the meaning of that action is diminished. Your generosity is reduced to a commodity, and unlike commodities, commodities are not cherished. Rather, they are taken for granted. However, the dynamic shifts when you combine modesty and self-assurance. Individuals begin to perceive you as someone who places a high priority on oneself. They come to realize that your generosity is not something they can rely on, and that this is something that you must sacrifice in order to maintain your own serenity. You've established a higher standard. It is not because you feel obligated to say yes, rather you say yes because you sincerely want to go through with it. People respect your decision to decline an offer because they are aware that you are not declining the offer out of malice. Rather, you are declining the offer in order to safeguard your time, your energy, and your boundaries at the same time. Having confidence enables you to take ownership of your generosity. It is possible to be nice, but it is equally possible to be firm. You have the ability to be generous with your time, but you also have the ability to provide yourself with some time that you do not overextend yourself for the sake of other people, and that you are not scared to stand up for what is essential to you are both important characteristics of someone who possesses confidence. Moreover, this is the essential component in gaining genuine respect. Being confident and being compassionate are not two things that you have to pick between. You have the ability to be both, and the combination exerts an incredible amount of power they give because they choose to. because they are in charge of their time and energy, and because they are kind and confident. When you are kind and confident, you become someone who gives respect, is earned via actions like these. Therefore, if you have been caught in the loop of being kind without having confidence, it is time for you to break out of that circle. Make an effort to demonstrate your value. Begin establishing limits and boundaries. It is important to learn to say no when it is required. It is important to be kind, but it is equally important to be strong in your kindness. Not only will you find that you respect yourself more when you combine these two characteristics, but you will also find that others respect you once you do so. Number 8. The fear of losing people. Fear is one of the most significant factors that contributes to people being overly polite and sacrificing their own wants. A fear of disagreement, a fear of disappointing other people, and a fear of being alone each other. Every single one of us has experienced that we have all been guilty of avoiding saying no, continuing to overextend ourselves, or allowing others to take advantage of us, simply because we were terrified of the consequences that could result from performing the opposite action. The concept that establishing boundaries could potentially result in tension or an argument is referred to as the fear of conflict. The assumption that if we don't constantly say yes, we'll let someone down or hurt their feelings is referred to as the fear of disappointing other people. The worry that if we cease trying to please other people, we will become isolated and no one would want to be near us is referred to as the dread of being alone. However, here is the harsh reality. If someone maintains their presence in your life solely for the purpose of taking advantage of your generosity, then it is clear that they were never worth keeping in the first place. Despite the fact that these individuals could provide you with brief companionship, they do not provide any genuine worth to your life. They do not respect your limits, and they do not appreciate you as a person. Rather, they see you as a chance to acquire what they want from you. When you begin to establish boundaries, and when you begin to say no, there will be withdrawal from certain individuals. It's possible that they are offended, and they may accuse you of being unkind or selfish. But here's the thing, it is not your problem to begin with. Those individuals who are angered by your boundaries did not respect you in the first place. It was clear that they did not consider you to be an equal, someone who had their own wants and demands. They regarded you as a resource, someone from whom they might draw inspiration. Moreover, the moment they realize that you are no longer that resource, they will leave. This, however, is not a loss. Rather, it is a gain, as Epictetus put it. Freedom is the only objective in life that carries any value. Disregarding things that are beyond our control is the key to success in our endeavor. You will start to experience genuine freedom. Once you stop being concerned about the possibility of losing people who aren't making a significant contribution to your life in any way. You no longer allow yourself to be constrained by fear, by the desire for approval, or by the idea that you must continue to give in order to maintain relationships with other people. Instead, you begin to make room in your life for the people who respect you, not only for what you can do for them, but also for who you are as a person. When you stop trying to please other people, it's possible that some of them will become angry or hurt. "You've changed," or "you don't care about me anymore," are two such phrases that someone might use. On the other hand, the reality is that you have not changed. Rather, you have merely shifted your priorities, because you have made the decision to take charge of your own life. You have decided to stop letting other people determine your level of happiness and your value. It is of the utmost importance to comprehend that letting go of unhealthy relationships, whether they are friendships, family dynamics, or sexual relationships, is not a sign of failure. It's a demonstration of self-love and respect for oneself. The individuals who truly care about you will recognize that your boundaries are an integral part of who you are, and they will respect those boundaries. Without question, everyone who doesn't will leave. And that's perfectly fine with me. That is, in point of fact, a blessing. Better individuals are on their way. Accepting this reality is one of the most liberating things you can do for yourself when you make room in your life. For the people who truly value you, they will eventually make their way into your life. Those individuals are those who respect your time, your energy, and the boundaries you set for yourself. In addition to the fact that they will give as much as they take, the presence of this person in your life will be mutually beneficial. Nevertheless, you must be willing to let go of the people who do not treat you with respect in order to go on, because you are terrified of being alone. It is tempting to continue to be in relationships that are draining on you personally. To be surrounded by people who do not appreciate you is the worst thing in the world, but being alone is not the worst thing in the world alone. At the end of the day, you will discover that quality is always superior to quantity. In terms of relationships, it is preferable to have a small group of people who actually respect you and bring value to your life, as opposed to a large collection of individuals who only take from you that you deserve. You will make room for the people who actually see you, appreciate you, and respect you for who you are, not simply for what you can do for them. Once you make the decision to let go of the fear of losing people, therefore keep in mind that you should let them go. In no way is it a loss. It is the beginning of a new chapter in your life, one in which you are free to be yourself without fear, and without the pressure of trying to prove that you are pleasant to other people. In the event that you make place for the appropriate individuals, they will find their way to you. Number 9. The secret of selective kindness. When you treat the appropriate people with kindness, you will gain true power. The fact of the matter is that generosity is a valuable currency, and just like any other type of money, it ought to be spent in a prudent manner. While it is simple to get into the trap of being overly generous with your time, energy, and compassion, it is also simple to fall into the trap of thinking that kindness is intrinsically virtuous and that it ought to be offered without prejudice. What happens, however, when you give an excessive amount of money to the wrong people? Respect is lost on you. The practice of selective kindness involves making deliberate choices regarding the areas in which you choose to devote your emotional energy and goodwill. You make it simpler for other people to take advantage of you when you are kind to everyone without giving it any thought beforehand. Nevertheless, if you are aware of who is the recipient of your compassion, you may make certain that it is treasured rather than exploited. This is the essential formula that must be followed. Extend your generosity to individuals who hold you in high regard. Those that are kind to you should be kind to you, to those who do not maintain a firm stance. When you demonstrate compassion to others who have showed respect and appreciation for it, you are demonstrating that respect and appreciation for yourself. Your efforts will be appreciated by these individuals, and they will return the favor in ways that are significant. Despite the fact that this does not imply that you are required to anticipate receiving something material in return, you can anticipate receiving reciprocal respect, which is what makes relationships truly satisfying. It is important to note, however, that showing kindness to someone who does not appreciate it is not compassion. Rather, it is self-sacrifice. When you do this, you are giving someone permission to cheat you. In this area, the Stoics possessed a considerable deal of knowledge in his writings. Seneca cautioned against providing an excessive amount of one's resources without obtaining anything in return, pointing out that a gift that costs nothing to the giver is worthless to the receiver. You are not only weakening your own position when you consistently provide compassion to those who do not reciprocate, but you are also encouraging a dynamic of entitlement in the process. It is possible that these individuals will grow to regard your generosity as something that they are entitled to, and before you realize it, your generosity will no longer be appreciated, but rather anticipated. At this point, kindness transforms into a sign of weakness. However, you can avoid falling into this trap by carefully selecting the recipients of your acts of kindness. There is a powerful force that can establish deeper friendships, and that force is kindness with boundaries. The person who is respected, the one who commands attention and adoration, is the one who is compassionate and firm throughout their interactions with others. On the other hand, a kind person who allows themselves to be trodden over is frequently neglected. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius expressed it in the following manner: "If you want to avoid wasting time, stop fighting over what a good man ought to be. Become one. You need to engage in the practice of selective kindness. If you want to be a person of integrity and self-respect, stop giving without discrimination, and stop trying to impress other people in its place. You should direct your generosity toward people who appreciate it, toward those who have shown that they recognize your value and who are willing to return your efforts. When you do this, your generosity transforms into something powerful, something that develops the relationship rather than something that depletes you. Have a hard stance with those individuals who do not respect you. This does not mean that you are required to be impolite or unpleasant. Rather, it just means that you discontinue tolerating disrespect. You prevent yourself from enabling behaviors that leave you feeling exhausted and unappreciated, and you establish clear limits for yourself. Not only is it an act of self-preservation, but it is also an act of self-respect to establish or maintain limits. When you set an example for others to follow by respecting yourself, you are leading by example. The true challenge is to realize that a gesture of goodwill that is devoid of confidence is a completely meaningless act. When there are no boundaries in place, people may misinterpret your generosity as a sign of weakness. On the other hand, when you mix assertiveness and kindness, you produce a powerful combination that compels respect and admiration from others. People will start to value your time and energy because they are aware that it is not something that can be thrown away easily. When you do this, you transform into someone who is not just kind, but also valued. Being attentive of where you focus your energy and who you invest in is an essential component of the concept of selective kindness. The people in your life that value you the most are those who do so not because of what you can provide for them, but rather because they recognize your value as a person. Moreover, those are the individuals that are deserving of your generosity. You may safeguard your own sense of self-worth by being deliberate about the manner in which you do so, and the recipients of your generosity, in addition to avoiding falling into the trap of giving to individuals who do not value your generosity. You do not allow other people to exploit your generosity. You, on the other hand, transform your generosity into a valuable commodity, something that is highly valued by people who are significant. And in the end, this is the true secret to kindness. It is not about being pleasant to everyone the entire time. What is important is that you have the wisdom to recognize who is deserving of your generosity and who is not. You are not only protecting your own well-being when you do this, but you are also building relationships that are founded on genuine connection and reciprocal respect for one another. And this is the kind of compassionate behavior that can never be misconstrued as a sign of weakness. Number 10. Strength and kindness. The ultimate combination. Having a kind disposition is not the issue. There is weakness. The notion that being kind is linked with being submissive or meek is something that we are taught far too frequently. But when it is founded on genuine strength, kindness becomes a formidable power that must be taken into consideration. When you give without limitations and without acknowledging your own worth, you are committing the problem of kindness being misunderstood. With submissiveness, people will start to take advantage of your kindness at that point, and respect will begin to erode kindness. The truth of the matter calls for an extraordinary amount of strength in a world that can make one feel apathetic at times. It takes a lot of strength to remain empathetic. However, the most influential people in history, those who acquired and maintained the highest levels of respect, were aware of the fact that kindness and strength are inextricably linked. The strength of the other is diminished when the first is absent. Here are some of the most influential Stoic philosophers, including Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. Not only were they examples of kindness, but they were also examples of strength because of their actions. They were unwavering in their convictions. They lived their lives in accordance with their principles, and they did not shy away from taking a consistent stance, not because they were motivated by a desire to make other people happy, but rather because they had a profound awareness of the value that they brought to the world. One of the most revered Roman emperors and Stoic thinkers, Marcus Aurelius, has a profound capacity for compassion, but his compassion was not without its ability to be powerful as a leader. He believed in setting an example for others to follow and never surrendering his convictions. His meditations were filled with numerous passages in which he discussed the significance of preserving a robust inner character, including the following: "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy when it comes to the connection between kindness and strength." This deep sentence says much. The true definition of strength is not the ability to fight back with force. Rather, it is the ability to keep your integrity intact when you are aware that being kind is the appropriate action to take. It is important to choose kindness. However, it is also important to refuse to tolerate disrespect. Kindness enables you to say yes with honesty and without harboring any bitterness, and strength enables you to say no when it is important to do so. The need of self-mastery was frequently emphasized in Seneca's letters, which he wrote as another Stoic philosopher. The key to living a virtuous life, according to his argument, is not to be submissive or meek. Rather, it is to be in command of your feelings, actions, and choices. Because kindness that is devoid of self-control and confidence is not compassion. Rather, it is a sign of weakness. He emphasized that self-respect is a result of knowing when to be nice and when to stand firm. The words of Seneca, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." In light of this, it is essential to make efficient use of your time, not on individuals who do not appreciate your generosity, but rather on relationships that are characterized by mutual respect. The message he is trying to convey is crystal clear. You should not waste your time trying to please individuals who take advantage of your goodwill. Your energy should be directed toward those who appreciate you and are kind to you in return. During his time as a slave, Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, highlighted the significance of being comfortable with one's own identity and avoiding allowing the opinions of others to influence one's actions. Strong your mind, establishing boundaries, and gaining control over your feelings are the hallmarks of his teachings. He emphasized that it is possible to be nice, but that it should not come at the expense of one's own health and happiness. In a famous quote, he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." From a practical standpoint, what does this imply? This indicates that true freedom is achieved when one is able to exercise control over their activities, when they determine the extent to which they are prepared to share aspects of themselves with other people, and when they acknowledge that they do not require the approval of others in order to be useful in every facet of life. The qualities of power and kindness are complementary to one another. People are aware that they cannot take advantage of you when you are kind while maintaining your firmness, because they will know that your generosity originates from a place of self-respect rather than desperation. They will begin to respect you more. The calm, unwavering strength that commands respect is a sort of power that does not require you to shout or proclaim dominance. It is a form of power that is respected. Having the ability to combine strength with kindness is a wonderful thing because it eliminates the need to choose between the two. There is no requirement that you give up one in order to obtain the other. As a matter of fact, one complements the other. In contrast, compassion without strength can result in self-sacrifice and exploitation. While power without kindness can lead to hubris or brutality, individuals who are able to maintain their integrity while simultaneously demonstrating compassion for others are the most influential and respected. Strength is the armor that protects compassion, which is a gift in life. Compassion is a gift. You can be generous with your time, energy, and compassion by combining the two, and at the same time, you can make sure that you are never taken advantage of. Either way, understanding your value, establishing boundaries, and extending compassion exclusively to those who place the same importance on it as you do are all important aspects of this. You will no longer feel the need to beg for respect after you have mastered the skill of balancing kindness and strength. Instead, it'll come unintentionally from other people who recognize that you are a person who possesses integrity, confidence, and real compassion with genuine compassion. You will develop into someone who is able to offer without hesitation, but who is also able to withdraw when it is required of them. Someone who does not allow the global community to take advantage of their generosity. In addition, this, my dear friends, is the most powerful type of existence. This precarious equilibrium was something that the Stoics were aware of, and it is something that has the potential to also affect your own life. It is not true that strength and kindness are polar opposites. Rather, they are two sides of the same coin. They lay the groundwork for a life that is not just moral, but also fulfilling when they are brought together. Therefore, it is to your advantage to embrace both, because doing so will allow you to acquire the respect and admiration of others, while simultaneously protecting your own integrity and sense of self-worth. The world is in need of the kindness. On the other hand, kindness without strength opens the door to disrespect. Do not stop being kind to others. Just quit being generous to yourself at the expense of others. Establish clear limits. Use your voice. Respect yourself first and foremost. And if you found that this video helped you see things differently, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Have you ever felt caught in the endless whirlwind of life? The pressures of work, family expectations, and constant comparisons to others on social media seem to weigh heavily on your shoulders. In this relentless race against time and undefined standards, you find yourself drifting further and further away from who you truly are with each passing day. Doubt and exhaustion creep in, leaving you wondering, what am I really living for? Stoicism offers a simple yet profound answer. Pause and focus on yourself. Only when you shift your attention inward away from the chaos of the world around you can you truly take control of your life. This is not selfishness. It's a journey back to what matters most. Mastering your thoughts, emotions, and actions. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. In this video, we will explore 7 lessons from Stoicism, powerful principles that have stood the test of time and remain as relevant today as ever. These are not just theoretical ideas, but practical insights I have personally applied to my life, witnessing remarkable transformations. So stay focused and don't miss a single part, because even one idea understood and applied correctly could become the turning point in your life. Get ready, let's embark on this journey together right now. Number 1, cultivate the virtues of Stoicism. When you choose to focus on yourself and practice the virtues of Stoicism, you are not merely adopting a lifestyle. You are embarking on a profound journey of self-discovery, rooted in ancient wisdom. Virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance aren't abstract ideals. They're guiding lights for navigating life's challenges and finding true inner freedom. These virtues, timeless in their relevance, don't just help us endure life's difficulties, they help us thrive in spite of them. In today's fast-paced world filled with endless distractions and mounting pressures, the teachings of Stoicism feel more relevant than ever. Epictetus once observed, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." How often do we torment ourselves over things beyond our control? How many sleepless nights are spent dreading outcomes that may never materialize? By embracing the Stoic virtues, we ground ourselves in the present, choosing to focus on what we can influence: our thoughts, our reactions, and our actions. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about reclaiming control over the one thing that truly belongs to us, our own mind. Picture this: you wake up overwhelmed by a daunting project at work. Expectations from your boss and colleagues weigh heavily on you, and the fear of failure looms large. But instead of drowning in anxiety, you pause and remind yourself, "I can't control their thoughts, but I can control my efforts. I can focus on doing my best one step at a time." This is wisdom in action, the ability to discern between what's within your power and what isn't. It liberates you from being a victim of circumstances and allows you to respond with clarity and intention. Courage, another cornerstone of Stoicism, is often misunderstood. It's not reserved for heroic deeds in extraordinary situations. It's woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. Seneca famously wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think back to the last time you faced a fear, perhaps a public presentation, an uncomfortable conversation, or admitting to a mistake. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means acting despite it. It's stepping onto that stage, heart-pounding, and speaking your truth. It's owning up to a misstep and committing to do better. These moments of bravery, however small, build resilience and shape the foundation of who you are. Justice invites us to reflect not only on how we treat others, but also on how we treat ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wisely counseled, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Justice isn't just about fairness to others. It's about balance in your life. Are you giving so much of yourself to others that you neglect your own needs? Or are you prioritizing self-interest at the expense of others? Justice challenges you to find harmony, a place where you live in alignment with your values, while honoring your responsibilities to the people around you. In a world that constantly tempts us with excess, temperance stands as a virtue of profound strength. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Temperance is about knowing when enough is enough. It's not about deprivation. It's about finding balance and satisfaction. Consider your habits. How often do you scroll endlessly on social media only to feel unfulfilled afterward? Temperance teaches us to resist the pull of mindless indulgence and focus on what truly matters. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you take a step closer to true inner freedom. The beauty of practicing Stoic virtues is that it doesn't require grand gestures. It is found in everyday moments, staying calm in a traffic jam, showing kindness to a stranger, or forgiving a coworker's mistake. Each of these small acts reflects a conscious choice to live virtuously. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. We have the power to shape our character through these choices, one decision at a time. Now imagine a life where every day you live with greater awareness, making decisions rooted in what's right rather than what's easy. Practicing Stoic virtues transforms not just how you see the world, but also how you see yourself. In this transformation lies the essence of true freedom, not freedom from life's challenges, but freedom from being enslaved by them. Marcus Aurelius offered us this timeless call to action. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This is your invitation to step into the best version of yourself starting right now. Number 2, reflect on yourself through the first step. We've come to understand the importance of Stoic virtues in the journey of self-improvement. But to truly become the best version of yourself, you need to take a deeper step. Self-reflection. Practicing Stoic virtues is not merely about external actions. It's an inward journey, a process of gazing into your own soul with honesty and without judgment. It's that moment when you pause amidst the chaos of life and quietly ask yourself, am I truly living according to the values I believe in, or am I letting emotions and circumstances dictate my path? Self-reflection is like sharpening a blade, not changing its form, but making it sharper and more powerful. And through this practice of introspection and growth, you edge closer to true self-mastery and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look back over the past with its changing empires that rose and fell. And you can foresee the future too. The experiences you've lived through are not random. They are a treasure trove of lessons waiting to be recognized, understood, and used to shape your next steps." Self-reflection is like lighting a lamp in the midst of darkness. It may not illuminate everything at once, but it's enough to show you where you stand and where you are headed. Yet in the relentless pace of life, we often fail to take the time to face ourselves. A friend of mine, Sarah, seemed to have it all: a thriving career, financial stability, and admiration from everyone around her. But during a quiet conversation one evening, she confessed, "I have everything I ever thought I wanted, but I still feel empty." I asked her, "What truly matters to you?" She paused, then admitted, "I guess I've never really thought about it." Her words resonated like a wake-up call when we don't take the time to ask ourselves the important questions. Life can become a relentless pursuit of goals that aren't truly ours, chasing after things that don't bring us real happiness. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This statement carries the transformative power to shift how we perceive ourselves and the world. Self-reflection is the first step toward understanding your reactions to life's challenges. When someone criticizes you, is your discomfort rooted in their error or your own pride? When you fail, do you blame the circumstances, or do you have the courage to face your mistakes? These questions may not be comfortable, but they liberate you from confusion and emotional turmoil, bringing you back to the core of who you truly are. Start small each night before you drift off to sleep. Take a moment to ask yourself, did I act in alignment with my values today? Is there anything I wish I had done differently? These questions aren't meant to criticize or judge you, but to illuminate your path. If your answers leave you dissatisfied, it's not a failure. It's an opportunity to adjust to be better tomorrow than you were today. When you engage in self-reflection, something extraordinary begins to unfold. You stop feeling the need to compare yourself to others. You are no longer swept away by meaningless societal expectations. Instead, you focus on your own journey, on the best version of yourself that you know you can become. You live with calm and freedom, not because everything around you is perfect, but because you've realized that everything within you can be controlled. So if today were your last day, would you be satisfied with the life you've lived? If the answer is no, then start reflecting now. Number 3, practice meditation and mindfulness. After spending time in self-reflection, you may have uncovered the thoughts, emotions, and actions shaping your life. But how do we move beyond simply understanding them to truly mastering them? This is where meditation and mindfulness step in, acting as a spiritual compass to guide your mind through the turbulent seas of emotion and anxiety. If self-reflection is the mirror that helps you see yourself more clearly, then meditation and mindfulness are the gentle art of wiping away the dust that clouds that mirror, leaving your soul radiant, serene, and resilient in the face of life's challenges. Meditation is not some complicated or distant technique. It's a simple yet profound practice of sitting with your thoughts, observing them without judgment, and refusing to let them carry you away. Your thoughts, whether positive or negative, are like clouds drifting across the vast sky of your mind. You are not those clouds. You are the expansive sky itself. Through meditation, you learn to witness these thoughts, accept their presence, but remain untouched by their fleeting nature. Imagine after a long and exhausting day filled with deadlines and overwhelming tasks, you sit down, close your eyes, and focus solely on your breath. Inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly, you begin to feel a quiet transformation. Each breath soothes your body and clears your mind. The stress and worries that once felt insurmountable seem to dissolve, replaced by a calming clarity. In Stoicism, true power lies not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering ourselves as Epictetus famously said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This wisdom reminds us that self-improvement requires letting go of the judgments of others and the pressures we impose on ourselves. Meditation teaches us to embrace the present, not the idealized present we wish for, but the one that is unfolding before us. In doing so, we find not only peace, but also the strength to remain steadfast, even in life's most turbulent storms. Mindfulness is the next step on this journey. It is the practice of immersing yourself fully in the present moment, rather than letting your mind wander to the regrets of the past or the uncertainties of the future. But mindfulness isn't confined to moments of quiet meditation. It is a way of living. Imagine drinking a cup of tea instead of being lost in your worries. You focus on the warmth of the cup in your hands, the gentle aroma wafting upwards, and the subtle sweetness on your tongue. In that moment, you realize that life is happening right here, right now, as Seneca wisely observed. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Mindfulness frees us from the chains of distant expectations and opens our eyes to the joys and meanings waiting for us in the present. What would happen if you allowed yourself to fully live in the present moment? You would discover that every breath is a gift. Every action carries meaning, small things. The golden glow of morning sunlight, the slight bitterness of coffee, or the cool touch of a gentle breeze suddenly feel profoundly significant, like unexpected treasures from life itself. You would no longer be ensnared by regrets of the past or the fears of what lies ahead. Instead, you'd find peace, completeness, and a sense of belonging in the now. So pause for a moment. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, am I truly living this moment, or am I letting it slip away? Your answer may lead you to embark on a transformative journey, a journey back to yourself through meditation, mindfulness, and a life focused on what truly matters. Number 4, embrace the present to exercise self-control. Before we dive in, let me take a moment to congratulate you. If you are still here, It means you are not someone who gives up easily. You are searching for change, for mastery over your life, and that sets you apart. This journey isn't over yet. Every part of it connects to form a complete plan. Don't miss out, because by the end of this video, you'll hold not just a solution, but a solid strategy to face any challenge with unshakable confidence. Stay with me. Transformation awaits. Epictetus once said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not true." Happiness and freedom can only be achieved when we embrace this wisdom, let go of what lies beyond our reach, and instead channel our energy into mastering what we can control. Imagine being on a flight that suddenly gets delayed. Your first reaction might be frustration, annoyance, maybe even blaming the world for being unfair. But then do you pause and ask yourself, can I control this? The flight isn't in your hands, whether technical issues or airline decisions. None of it is under your control. Instead of drowning in disappointment, you could choose to spend that time reading, resting, or planning your next steps. The moment you let go of what's beyond your control, the heavy burden of frustration lifts, replaced by a sense of lightness and inner freedom. Accepting the present doesn't mean surrendering to hardship or giving up on your efforts. On the contrary, it's a powerful act of shaping how you respond to reality. Instead of wasting energy fighting the unchangeable, focus on what you can control: your thoughts, actions, and perspective. Consider someone who loses their job. They can sit and blame their circumstances, or they can use the opportunity to learn new skills, explore different paths, or even redefine their career direction entirely. This ability to exercise self-control turns adversity into a chance for growth. A simple way to practice acceptance is by asking yourself, what can I do about this? If the answer is nothing, let it go. If the answer is something, act on it. Each day we encounter countless challenges, from petty arguments to major life disruptions, but it's how we choose to respond that shapes our experience. Try applying this to everyday situations, like being stuck in traffic, instead of letting anger take over. Use that time to listen to an inspiring podcast or reflect on your upcoming goals. When you shift your perspective, even the most frustrating moments can feel more manageable. True freedom doesn't come from controlling everything around you, but from mastering your own mind. When you accept that the world won't always go your way, you stop feeling disappointed or angry when things deviate from your plans. How you perceive a situation determines how you feel and act. Acceptance is not about giving in, it's about declaring, I am in charge of myself. So what will you do when the next challenge arises? Will you let anger and complaints consume you, or will you take a deep breath and remind yourself that you have control over your response? Never forget, true peace doesn't come from changing the outside world, but from how you choose to face it. Focus on yourself. Embrace the present, and you'll be amazed at how life begins to reveal unexpected opportunities. Number 5. Stand firm against life's challenges. When we accept the present and learn to control our minds, a profound truth about life becomes strikingly clear. Challenges are inevitable, but is acceptance alone enough, or does it take something stronger to overcome the obstacles that inevitably lie ahead? Life constantly throws us into unexpected turns, and it is in these moments that the ability to stand firm becomes the key. If acceptance brings peace, then resilience in the face of adversity defines your true strength. Keep moving forward, for adversity is not the end. It is the beginning of becoming stronger than ever before. Think back to a time when you faced something you thought was insurmountable. In that moment, everything may have seemed blurry, like standing before an imposing wall that blocked your path. But as Marcus Aurelius taught us to consider, Was it truly a wall, or was it a door waiting for you to open it? Those challenges, though painful and uncomfortable, are where you discover your true strength. A friend of mine once shared her story of going through a divorce, a time when her world seemed to collapse. Yet amidst the lonely nights and tears, she realized she had to rise, learn to love herself, and rebuild her life. Today, she is not only stronger, but also happier than ever before. You see, challenges are not our enemies. They are our greatest teachers. Life will bring unexpected hardships, but the one thing you can always control is your reaction. If you choose fear and avoidance, adversity will consume you. But if you choose patience and perseverance, you can transform challenges into opportunities for growth. Imagine being an athlete, training for a major competition only to face a sudden injury. What would you do? Quit or keep fighting? A real-life athlete faced this very situation. He chose to focus on what he could control, healing his body, training his mind, and moving forward step by step. The result, he not only recovered, but also broke his previous limits, achieving his best performance ever. This is the power of resilience that Stoicism champions, turning what seems like a setback into the fuel for a breakthrough. Difficulties are like pieces of a complex puzzle. At first, they appear disjointed, confusing, and overwhelming. But with patience, as you place each piece in its proper place, a bigger picture begins to emerge, a picture of growth and character, perhaps at this very moment. You are holding a puzzle piece in your hands. Ask yourself, where will this piece lead me? Who will I become once I overcome this challenge? Challenges in life are rarely pleasant. They might knock you down, leave you gasping for air, and make you want to give up. But remember, those very hardships are opportunities for you to prove that you are far stronger than you think. As Seneca once said, difficulties strengthen the mind. As labor does the body, just as muscles grow stronger. When faced with resistance, your mind matures through adversity. Imagine that with every challenge you conquer, you are building a better, stronger version of yourself. So the next time life throws an obstacle your way, embrace it as a gift. Ask yourself, what can this teach me? What lessons can I take from this? At first, it may seem overwhelming, but trust that every step you take through the storm brings you closer to the person you are meant to become. Take a deep breath, move forward, and remember that you are ready for this journey. Number 6. Strengthen your resilience to life's impermanence. In the face of challenges, we learn to stand firm, to find strength in confronting and overcoming adversity. But when we look deeper, we realize that challenges alone do not define life. Our lives are a continuous flow of change. Impermanence weaves through every moment, every breath. This realization prompts a greater question. How can we remain steadfast when everything around us is in flux? Resilience is not just about facing challenges, but also about accepting the transient nature of life. It is about resisting the pull of external turbulence and instead finding peace and stability within. We often become entangled in fear of loss, of change, of the unknown. Yet pause for a moment and ask yourself, why resist what is inevitable? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The recognition of life's brevity does not weaken or terrify us. Instead, it awakens a yearning to live fully, to savor every moment. Impermanence, far from being an enemy, becomes a teacher that shows us the value of cherishing what matters and releasing what does not. Think back on your own life, those moments of failure or loss. Perhaps it was a job interview that didn't go as planned, or the passing of a loved one. Such moments might have felt like storms shaking the very ground beneath you. Yet if you look closer, These were the very instances that pushed you to grow, to understand yourself and the world more deeply. Resilience is not born from avoiding pain, but from embracing it as an integral part of personal growth. Michael J. Fox, the iconic star of Back to the Future, stands as a profound example of finding strength in life's impermanence in 1991, at the age of 29. Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a shocking reminder that nothing in life is permanent. This impermanence, which seemed to bring only pain and loss, presented Fox with a choice to let it crush him or to let it shape him into someone stronger. Like anyone, he initially faced despair, fear, and unanswered questions, but instead of resisting reality, he chose to accept it. As he said, acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means understanding that something is what it is, and that there's got to be a way through it. This acceptance freed him from the weight of resentment and paved the way for a new, meaningful journey with this spirit. Fox not only continued his acting career, but also founded the Michael J. Fox Foundation, transforming his loss into an opportunity to help millions living with Parkinson's. When we embrace impermanence, we cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude. Marcus Aurelius advised, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive. To think, to enjoy, to love." Life offers no guarantee of permanence, and it is precisely this transience that makes every moment so precious. Instead of clinging to the past or worrying about the future, focus on the present. The only time you truly control impermanence is not something to fear, but a gentle reminder that everything has its purpose in its own time. By living with acceptance and gratitude, we become not only more resilient, but also more attuned to life's true beauty. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us not merely to endure hardship, but to love and appreciate our ever-changing journey. A journey filled with uncertainty, yet imbued with profound meaning. Comment, embrace impermanence to let me know you are ready to grow stronger every single day. Write it down as a declaration of your commitment. Now let's dive into today's final lesson. Number 7. Build personal discipline to achieve true freedom. Freedom is not the absence of constraints, nor is it the unchecked indulgence of every desire. In Stoicism, true freedom lies in self-mastery, in the ability to rise above circumstances and emotions instead of being led by them. And the key to attaining this state is personal discipline. When you learn to control your actions and thoughts, rather than trying to bend the world to your will, you unlock a profound strength, the power to liberate your soul from the chains of fear and instability. As Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Imagine being swept up in the relentless currents of life, where the pressures of work, the expectations of others, and the weight of negative emotions bear down on you on days like those. Have you ever asked yourself, am I truly free, or am I merely a slave to things beyond my control? This question is at the heart of Stoic thought, urging us to reflect on the sources of our perceived limitations. Personal discipline is a journey, one that is sometimes rocky, sometimes exhausting, but always worthwhile. Consider someone who commits to waking up early to exercise each morning. Over time, they find that they're not only healthier physically, but also mentally stronger through discipline. They gain the freedom to live a vibrant, purposeful life rather than succumbing to the inertia of complacency. Discipline in this sense becomes the architect of a fulfilling existence. But what about those moments when adversity strikes, when every effort seems futile? It is in these moments that personal discipline becomes a guiding light. These challenges are like storms in life, cold, dark, and seemingly endless. You may feel powerless, as if everything you've worked for is being washed away. Yet, discipline serves as a lighthouse in the tempest. It doesn't promise to calm the storm immediately, but it offers direction. A goal to clinging to discipline keeps you from surrendering, from giving up even when hope feels distant. Think of a marathon runner enduring searing pain midway through the race, with the finish line still miles away. What keeps them going isn't physical strength alone, but the discipline honed through long hours of training, the ability to push through discomfort, focus on each step, and trust that these small efforts will eventually lead to triumph. This is the power of discipline, not in doing everything at once, but in persevering step by step, no matter how uneven the road may be. So how do you begin cultivating discipline? Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, practiced a habit of journaling, reflecting on his thoughts each morning and evening. He would ask himself, "What can I do today to live in accordance with my principles? And at the end of the day, have I managed to govern myself?" Well, this simple but profound exercise is something you too can adopt. Additionally, challenge yourself with small, manageable goals, such as breaking a bad habit for 1 week to experience the strength of your will in action. Seneca once advised that we should embrace simplicity and even deliberately expose ourselves to hardship to remind ourselves that we are not bound by external things, but by our inner mindset. True freedom doesn't come from indulgence, but from knowing what is truly best for yourself. Discipline is not a form of restriction, but an art, an intentional process of selecting and eliminating what doesn't serve your greater purpose. As you build personal discipline, you'll find that the opinions of others, the pull of laziness, and the chaos of the world lose their grip on you. You become anchored in your values, confident in your path. So are you ready to begin this journey? Ask yourself, if you start focusing on building discipline today, how might your life transform in a year? Take that first courageous step. This path doesn't just lead to true freedom. It brings you closer to the best version of yourself, and as every Stoic would agree, something extraordinary happens when you focus on yourself. We've just explored 7 powerful methods inspired by Stoicism principles that can help you unlock inner strength, face life's challenges, and create a life of true freedom. Let the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca guide your path in moments of chaos. Remember that you hold the power to master your thoughts and actions. Start with small steps. Jot down what you're grateful for each day. Concentrate on what you can control and practice self-discipline to move closer to the best version of yourself. When you truly focus on yourself, something extraordinary happens. Not because life gets easier, but because you become stronger. If you found value in this video and haven't yet clicked like, take a moment to do so. It supports the channel and helps others discover these transformative ideas. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your experiences and perspectives. If you know someone who could benefit from this message, share this video with them. It might just be the gift they need. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to the channel I Am Stoic. There's so much more meaningful content coming your way, ready to inspire and guide you on your journey. Let Stoicism be the light that illuminates our path forward.